Hello, and welcome to episode 18 of One Controller Port Podcast. I'm here again, Benjamin Yoder, but I have another person, so if you're familiar with the 3DO, it has one controller port, but you can actually plug another controller into your first player controller and daisy chain it. So even though it's still a one controller port podcast, we have a guest. Paul?
Yes.
Hello.
That is me. Hi, and thanks for having me on the show. I have been enjoying your weird Japanese
Sure.
games. It's been pretty cool. No, I do. I seriously watch. I've almost watched all of your podcasts. So
Okay.
It's good. Entertaining.
Surprise, my podcasts are my worst content, so it's a good time. You are my uncle. A very young
Yes.
uncle, though.
Yes.
You are 30? 30s?
I'm 32.
32?
Man.
So, yeah, and I'm 27, so a very small distance usually. Or
Okay,
this time.
but 32 is a huge difference from 30. Let me just say that threshold is nuts. So watch
Yeah.
out. You'll hit 30, you'll be like, nothing's changed. You'll hit 31, you're like, something's going on. And then you hit 32, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm old as fuck.
I already feel old as fuck. But that's okay. We'll be alive for another 60 years, hopefully.
We'll
60
see.
years. So do you want to talk about any games before we get into our main topics? Or
So I have been playing relatively few games these days, but I do have a few games that I'll turn on every other night or so. So PUBG, you and me play that a lot together, and pretty good game, very relaxing most of the time. So I enjoy playing that for a long time. Like whereas other kind of battle royale kind of games I can't do for very long. Like I burned out of Overwatch pretty quick because like it's just the whole time your attention is needed. And it's like Quake 3 back in the days. Like,
yeah,
it's
Arena's
too much.
thing.
And I can't play 3 hours straight of that stuff, but PUBG's fine. Like, because like 90% of the game is just you shooting the breeze with whoever you're playing with, and it's great. So that's been the game. Breath of the Wild, as far as consoles go, that's the only game I'm playing on console right now is Breath of the Wild. And I'm through 2 Divine Beasts, so I'm almost there. I got a Master Sword.
I feel like that game kind of goes downhill from there, but
What?
yeah. But Paul, I have
feel
a
it.
video coming out soon about Breath of the Wild.
Oh, cool. Well, I am starting to feel it actually because I've gotten a ton of stuff now, and I feel like I'm getting to the point where it's like, all right, beat Ganon and be done with it.
Yeah.
Because I've played it to the extent that I've enjoyed it a ton up until now, and now I kind of feel like, well, I'm kind of getting done with all of its tricks that it has for me.
Gotcha.
So I don't know. I'm getting to that point. And then I've been playing Final Fantasy 14 until I just unsubscribed the other day, so that's done. And I can't think of anything else that I'm really playing a ton right now, but that's pretty much it.
Yeah, for me, it's mainly been I'm just slowly plotting my way through Valkyria Revolution, which is not a fantastic game. It's like a spin-off of the Valkyria Chronicles series, and it's trying to be more like an action RPG thing with some strategy elements.
Okay.
But it's not great. So
that's not that army kind of beat 'em up game where you run around and kill like 20 or 30 groups of dudes, right?
You're like a Muso game or something like that?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. I've seen people say it's kind of like a Muso game. I would disagree, but it is killing a lot of guys.
Okay, all right.
So.
I hate those games.
They're not great, in my opinion. So
yeah, they had that. What's the Zelda one that they just did?
Hyrule Warriors. Yeah. And so they're doing a Fire Emblem one now. Then there's like a Hokuto no Ken, like Fist of the North Star one.
Is it on the Wii U? The Hyrule Warriors?
Yes. And new Nintendo 3D. Well, actually, Nintendo 3DS, and then there's like it's enhanced new Nintendo 3DS game as well. So Cool. Well, but the main point of our show today is you wanted to talk about a game that you feel like doesn't get enough love, enough little
Yes.
touching and loving.
The Hearts.
The Hearts. Tales of Hearts?
No.
Are you sure?
No.
Tales of Berseria.
Yes.
Berseria. However you
Berseria.
pronounce it.
Yeah.
You said it came out like 3 months ago in America.
Yeah, something like that. Let's see here. Release date for America was January 24th, 2017. Okay.
So it's been
That's
a while.
ways back.
And then I think it came out last year in Japan, right? Like 2016. So
August.
So I have very limited experience with the Tales series. I'm aware of Tales of Symphonia. Well, I played Tales of Symphonia, and I'm aware of like Fantasia, Legendia, Hearts, Innocence, Tempest, Tales of the Tempest. That's a bad game. Let's not talk about Tales of the Tempest today. So yeah. So what do you think? Is this your first Tales game?
Yeah, so I was gonna say, like, this is my straight up first Tales game ever. I played like for 10 minutes on my brother-in-law's account, one of the older Tales series, and I was just kind of like, yeah, JRPG, whatever, and I ran around the city for a little bit, and that was it. And so I was not impressed with what I was looking at, because he loaded up his file. He was playing it for a long time, and I was just nothing else to do, so I watched
Symphonia?
him. No, I think I would have recognized Symphonia, because that's kind of pretty popular, but it was one of the off ones. But yeah, and this was quite a few years back, but I've never been super interested in that, and I don't actually like too many JRPGs. There's very few that I'm actually like, dude, that is a good either A, game, or B, like a replacement for an anime. Like I can put anime down for a little bit and play JRPG, and that would like take care of me as far as my anime needs.
Gotcha.
So like and I felt that a lot of them don't do good with the anime aspect. They just have really crappy stories and characters, or super long-winded. Like after Final Fantasy VI came around, it's like every single freaking RPG nowadays, JRPGs especially, have to be like 80 hours plus. And
yeah.
It's like, I did not like that. I liked a little consolidated experience, and every now and then, like a Final Fantasy VI comes along, if they have enough content, great. And Final Fantasy VI did. But a lot of games now, just it's a tick box on their, things we need. A ton of side quests and a bunch of garbage, like fluff quests, to make it, to pad this game out. So I have been pretty unhappy with JRPGs for quite some time.
So what made you decide to try this one?
Oh, what the heck was it? I saw like a trailer. Go like Google or YouTube their intro, and it's pretty gorgeous. Like the music is stellar in this game, but also in the trailer. Then the art is done pretty good. It looked like a legit anime that I could get into. And I was like, okay, if it's something I would watch as an anime, maybe they got something going on for gameplay and story. So I gave it a shot. I don't know. I can't remember why.
Yeah.
I think I've started following Bandai Namco's like YouTube, and they're really weird. Have you subscribed to them? Their YouTube?
I have subscribed to many Bandai Namco channels.
Yeah,
they are all over the place.
Yeah.
I love their like, I forget what it is. Like it's some number. It's like 367 TV or something like that. And a lot of time it's just like, here's this old couple trying to beat Galaga. And it's like doing a bad job of trying to beat Galaga.
They're nuts. They're like a spectacle for me.
Yeah.
So I just keep them in my sub feed just because it's like, what the hell are they going to publish today? Kind of thing. So, and then this came up. I was like, it's actually kind of cool looking game. Maybe I'll look more into it. And I pre-ordered it and started playing it when it came out.
Cool. And what do you like about it so far?
Okay. So I am sort of mixed on the game.
Okay.
I don't know anybody that plays JRPGs in my friends group, and nobody wants to try this out, even though I was told them, like, dude, this game's so good.
Yeah. Your friends are mainly of a pretty mainstream audience, from what I can tell. They play like Grand Theft Auto and Factorio and PUBG.
Yeah, as far as my gamer friends go, they mostly do that kind of stuff. Destiny, GTA, PUBG, that kind of thing. So, I mean, they're easy to please in that sense, but I sometimes have weird like cravings for just random genres, and so that's why pretty much I went here. It was like I don't usually do that, but I like to try stuff every now and then, give it a shot. So but what I liked about it is character development and story, like those two things. Story's pretty good, but the character development is stellar. Like, I like the whole cast so far, and I'm probably halfway through it. It's a really long game. And the reason why I'm not done with it, I mean, it's been out since the beginning of this year. I'm not done with it because the gameplay sucks. Like, the combat mechanics, the battle mechanics are very typical and
before we move on to the gameplay, one thing I want to kind of talk about with the story is I remember when pre-launch their kind of big thing was you play this main character, and this main character doesn't have a traditional party that comes with her. She's kind of a lone wolf kind of thing. Is that something that was reflected in the actual final release? Because I'm talking about something they pitched like 2 years or a year before the game came out or something like that.
Yeah, heck yeah. And I'm going to try to preface some conversations we have with like a spoiler alert, because some of it is like I really do want to talk about some of these things, but it really is kind of a little bit of a spoiler at times.
Okay.
But so this is one of the instances, since we're talking about the party. Spoiler alert. The party is basically the bad guys. So you're the bad guys in this game.
Okay.
And the good guys are like religiously, super pious kind of people with high pie in the sky ideas of like, we sacrifice the few for the many type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, you're like, well, I get it. Like, that makes sense. But they go a little too far at times to where you're like, yeah, you're just being, evil at this point. And so, and that line of morality kind of washes back and forth, because your party is a band of like demons pretty much, and they're the ones being hunted by the holy people, and you're actually fighting for like a cause. What, everybody has their own cause, and that's pretty cool. And the main character's cause is pretty simple to follow. It's revenge type of thing. But
gotcha.
I don't know. It's just makes you root for the other side, and it's just you can see both sides and where they're coming from, and you can hate and love both sides of it. So I enjoy that, definitely. That's really fun.
Does it seem like something that you're gonna accidentally end up saving the world anyways, or something like that?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
There are some tropes in this game. It's not like super break out of the box kind of storytelling. It's definitely comfortable, very comfortable tropes. So, it's very tropey in areas, but I mean, it's a very kind of like comfortable, kind of, experience. Like those parts that are nothing new, the kind of plot devices they use, you get what's coming up, you understand what they're doing, but it's not jarring in any ways, and it doesn't take you out of the experience. So for the most part, the story's pretty solid, other than a few, like you're saying, you can kind of see where it's going sometimes, but then at other times you don't have a clue, and it really
I think JRPGs a lot of the time have a hard time following through with their more extreme, like, oh, this person's actually bad, but they're actually going to be good by the end of the game.
Well, that's one reason I really like it, is a lot of them are either like really reaching, to be that, and they overreach that point, or they're way too easy to follow. So like and I don't know what it is. Just JRPGs have a hard time getting right in the center, and I think this one does. It's just like it's an understandable plot, but it gives you a lot of surprises.
And I like that it sounds like it stretches it throughout the whole game. It sounds like that you're kind of...
Oh, yeah. It doesn't let up. And that was another thing. I was super surprised. It was like I was 10 hours in. I was like, okay, well, I'm ready for it to take a dive now and get super padded out as far as the story goes. But it doesn't. It's still good. And they keep, like, the characters are still, like, developing and growing. And that's another thing. These characters are not static. And so you see a lot of growth through almost every scene.
Yeah. Is it pretty consistent party, though? You're kind of keeping everyone with you most of the time?
Yep, you slowly gain more members, but I think I actually have the max party right now. It's all the guys in the trailer is who's in my party right now, so I think I've got the full party.
Yeah, that was one thing I was kind of hoping when I first heard the game announced, was that you'd have kind of like a rotating party or something like that. If you think of something like Final Fantasy Mystic Quest at the time, you kind of pick people up as you go around, but you don't really have any long-term allies per se. Maybe I feel like maybe at Mystic Quest there's one point in the game where you can choose who your ally is towards the end or something and just take them with you to the final boss. But I think most of the game they're like, this is your person for this area kind of thing. That's what I was kind of hoping for, but I don't think that's what actually ended up happening.
It's there. Yeah, that happens. There's some characters that you have at the start, they leave for a while just to do their own thing, then come back. Like the witch, she like goes and comes a lot, but now she's kind of permanently with us, I think. But anyways, right now it's kind of the Final Fantasy VI model of like you do have a cast of characters, but you can only use in a battle. I think it's 5, 4 or 5. So yeah, you get to choose.
Right. And you're saying you didn't like the battle system for the most part. It's pretty much the same line action thing as before, right? Where you're like on a 2D plane and you are kind of locked in with enemies. Is that what the case is still, or is that that's evolved?
It is 3D. It's a 3D area, but you're in like a bubble and you can't go outside the circle. If you do, then you retreat if you run towards the wall. But so you're not like locked to a path. You can actually move around that bubble 100% freely. Yes.
Kind of thing.
Yep.
Okay, so that's something they did change eventually.
Yep. You can run around and you can spam your buttons. There's a lot of combos you got to learn, and it's just like that's the part that I can't stand. Is like it all ends up feeling very much the same. You're just using your combos over and over again, and they're not super interesting combos or anything. The players don't interact like a ton with each other. They're kind of doing their own thing, except for your healer. Yeah. And it's just kind of like, I can just do without this. Give me the story, because the fighting is really... I've seen it before, and I don't like that kind of stuff.
It sounds like that's an element of the Tales series that hasn't really changed too much over the years, although it used to be like in Symphonia, it was a 3D arena, but you could only move like you're like locked in with an enemy, and you can only move towards them or back from them. You wouldn't be able to like move left or right in the battlefield, even though it's in a 3D arena. Yeah,
this is different because you can move anywhere you want, although you can lock to an opponent and it will like auto look at them, and if you like, it will auto swing at them if you're attacking. So yeah, you can do that. And not the whole game isn't battle. A lot of it is you're running around in the town talking to people and tripping cutscenes. So and the cutscenes are interesting. They have full voice acted, full animated cutscenes, like anime. So it's drawn, and then you have polygon kind of, in-engine type of cutscenes that are voiced as well. Then you have, let's see here. Then you have little comic strips cutscenes. So like you'll get a cue to listen to a little dialogue between 2 or 3 characters.
Is it a comic strip, or is it just their character portraits on screen and then they just talk?
Well, their character portraits change greatly, and so they have a ton of frames for this kind of cutscene, and
Yeah.
I love it so much. They have some good art for it, but like they really do try. It's not just here is the character and then text the whole time. It's a lot of different emotions that they show. And then there's just text, and then there's just audio with the text. I don't know. They change it up, and so that's what I do appreciate about it. Everywhere you go, there's
some bit of story here and there.
You're getting a different level of storytelling, so it's nice.
Yeah, the little conversation is something that's been a part of the series for quite a while now. I don't remember if they were animated in the past in terms of like having a lot of character portraits. If there were any, I think it was probably only a handful of frames or something like that it would just like switch between.
Yeah.
But it's I haven't played one since Symphonia, so it's a very long distance of time since I've checked that series out to say how that's evolved over time.
Yeah.
But Symphonia or Berseria, it's one of those things where those games come out every year or two, and at some point I just kind of blank the Tales games out, because it's like I could play them, but there's going to be a new one next year or 2 years from now that I could come and play, versus something like, I don't know, like a Valkyria Chronicles, where something comes out every few years at best.
Yeah.
Not super often or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I was more into this kind of genre when I was younger, and I think going back to my friends that I game with, a lot of them nowadays, it's pretty common fare kind of games that they play. But back in the day when this stuff was fresh, we were all playing, the Final Fantasies and the what's the Dragon Lance? Dragon Quest series. So like we were.
That's a big one to forget the name of.
Yeah, I was thinking Dragon Lance, but I was like, that's not
it. Was Dragon Warrior at one point because of some copyright thing.
Yeah, but I mean, we were playing those games back then. I don't know. It's just, I think the big thing for me was time constraints, because these games nowadays are so long in the tooth that I just can't take it. It's just like, I just don't have that much time to dump into something. So
yeah, I mean, it feels like these days, and I think this is true of even non-RPGs, is that any AAA game feels like it needs to be able to be your life for a year.
Yeah.
And that's not to say you need that to beat the game. I mean, like, a lot of these games, you can beat them in like 20, 30 hours if you're just like dedicated to, I'm not doing anything but the main story.
Yeah, if you don't care about enjoying the game at all.
I don't know about not enjoying the game, but seeing a rounded view of the game, maybe.
I mean, when I reviewed games, that's what it was like, I was like, okay, I gotta beat it really fast to get this review out, and it ended up sucking the fun out of it so bad. Like, I was like, I don't enjoy this game at all.
Everything 6 months late.
Yes.
Or even longer than that. I've been promising a Mighty Number 9 article for 2 years now.
Yeah.
A year now? 2 years? A year now. We're getting close to 2 years someday, Paul. But I don't do this for money, so I can do that and be like, yeah, whatever. I'm going to talk about this game when it's appropriate for me to talk about it. So
yeah, but I mean, to pretty much wrap up the whole characters and story. Okay, so like, Rokurou is the man, Ben. All right. Just know that, even if you never play this, just know Rokurou will be more of a man than anyone you have ever met in your whole entire life, all right? Then Aizen is pretty awesome as well, okay? And Velvet, the main character, she's pretty good, and the interplay between characters is so... what's the word? Like, it's so scrumptious. Okay.
Okay.
Every single like interaction, it's just like dude, I'm taken back to my anime days where I was like enthralled in this stuff. It's like you just, it's so like, it's such a good little cast of characters that I just really enjoy every time they have those little cutscenes. I'm like, oh yeah, learn a little bit more about Laugh-Set and everything. So the cast is really the shining star for me. Then the story's pretty good, and then the gameplay is garbage, but I don't care at that point. It's just I'm playing it for the cast and the story.
Yeah.
It's not garbage. It's okay, but I just have played that kind of stuff.
Very repetitive.
Yeah. It's not fun for me at all. I don't find any enjoyment in it.
Gotcha. I think that kind of battle system, I wouldn't say is lowest common denominator kind of stuff, but it's they've settled into this is a Tales battle system, and they don't really want to differentiate it to it too much. I often call the Tales series the Madden of Japan. So
yeah.
At the very least, it seems like they're doing more recently. I feel like, but
yeah, well,
I'm also not familiar with enough the series to really say anything authoritatively. Like,
yeah. Well, I will. They need to get those writers on with a good developer like that knows gameplay. They're like, freaking, we own this stuff. And just get those writers. I don't know.
You want?
I don't know Japanese developers right now. So, like, whoever does combat good, and that's another thing is like I enjoy JRPG combat functions that are super old and outdated. Like, let's see here. My favorite turn-based thing was 11, Final Fantasy 11. Like,
that is not turn-based. That is active.
Active time type of, I guess.
Yeah.
See here. Final Fantasy 4 was pretty good with the turn-based thing.
That's ATB as well.
What?
Yeah. So you have like a speed and it fills up and you act when your speed fills up. It's not based on your turn.
Okay. So like a hard locked, nothing happens unless you select something?
That's like a standard turn-based.
I thought 4 was like that and 6 was not like that.
I'm pretty sure 4 is active time battle. I'm pretty sure that game introduced that. I think there's like a wait function in 4, but I don't think that's the main component of that game. But yeah, if you want like a turn-based game, Dragon Quest series seems to be the big one.
Yeah, I played the early ones. And then what's that blue? That blue dragon came out.
That's not a Dragon Quest game though.
Oh, that was the same artist, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was a different. Okay.
And it was Sakamoto, I believe, or Sakaguchi, Final Fantasy guy.
Okay.
Who worked on it. So
I remember there's some.
I don't know if there was any Dragon Quest blood in that game other than the artist.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's about where I stopped that kind of stuff. Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then also, I think Persona's turn-based too, but I haven't played Persona, or like Shin Megami Tensei in general, and that's becoming more of a mainstream thing nowadays too.
Yeah.
Devil Summoner, demons.
Yeah,
the only one I want to play is the Raibo one or whatever, Rai something. I'm doing a bad job of remembering the names. That I don't like. I don't want to say I don't like Shin Megami Tensei. I just don't really have much interest in it.
It's hard to remember that far back. Like, I'm trying to remember the last JRPG I played, and I think it was freaking The Last Remnant, and that was forever ago.
I need to play the Last Remnant still. That is on my list.
I got to the end and gave up. I was like, freak, this game sucks. I stuck with it so long.
I've seen people who like that game, but I do remember it being received pretty poorly at the time.
Yeah.
Microsoft tried a lot with like JRPGs, like The Lost Odyssey and Infinite Undiscovery and things like that.
Yeah.
And Tales of Vesperia was originally a 360 exclusive, and wasn't a 360 exclusive in America. It never came out on PS3 here, and I don't think it's been re-released since. So, all right. Well, I think that's going to do it for this week's episode of One Controller Port podcast. you have a YouTube channel. Are you still doing stuff on there, or?
Not really. I mean, you can mention it. It's Fentros Necros.
Okay.
And
that's, how do you send me a thing of how to spell that afterwards, and I'll put it in the description.
You can link it in there.
Yes, because I don't know how to spell Fentros Necros.
Yeah. It used to be Star Wolf. I did a lot of like Star Citizen stuff, but that game is never going to come out ever. So
yeah.
So eventually,
hey, sometimes when you make a game that's super ambitious, and by sometimes I mean all the time, it generally doesn't work out.
Yeah.
So
it's been pretty, like the last few months has been rough with them because they've been trying to get version 3.0 or something to come out.
Oh, gotcha.
And it's supposed to be a big update where you got a lot of stuff coming in this update, and it's been scheduled to come out like last week forever, and now they pushed it back to who knows when. They're like, oh yeah, actually nah. And the community, every time they push one of these big updates back, community gets smaller and smaller, and a lot of people are getting pissed about it. And I mean, I was out like 2 years ago, and a lot of people at that time were still, they were a little bit more rational, but now the audience that's still remaining there are zealots. They're freaking zealots, and they will, whoever is saying anything, like even just a little critical of the game, if it's fairly critical, they're like, oh, here's a troll, and everybody jumps on them. It's like, guys, look at yourselves. Like, you need to take a look at the game and be honest with yourself,
Yeah.
And they're not. It's getting pretty culty. Like, it's the cult of Christ Roberts is his name now. So
I am not surprised.
Yeah.
He has some dedicated following.
So I stopped doing videos for that, but the channel started as that, so all my subscribers were all Star Citizen fans, and then I stopped doing that and started doing weird shit like, here's like old like roguelike game, and everybody's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know, I'm playing games. Like, don't play games, play Star Citizen. Like, I don't
know.
Okay, so it's pretty much dead. My channel's pretty much done at this point.
I wonder if it would have been smarter to make like another channel, but then you lose anyone who would be even if someone on your channel was interested in that stuff. But well, I hope you enjoy the no subscriber life then.
Yeah, that's a weird tangent.
Yep, I like it. It's nice. Nobody tells you what to do. You're just like, I'm gonna write, let's talk about Super Panda Ball this week. Yeah. And everyone's like, what is Super Panda Ball? It's like, you don't know because I'm the only one who knows. So yeah, it's a good time. I bought a bunch of PlayStation 1 import games, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I'm ready to talk about more games that nobody. Some of these are pretty popular, but I don't know if anyone knows what Tiny Bullets is.
I have not heard of that.
Yeah, it's a Sony game. It was put out by Sony Computer Entertainment, or at least published, But I don't know how many people know about it. But yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much, Paul. You don't have any other places you're at, Twitter or anything like that? So.
As far as gaming goes, nah. That's probably it. Right. I mean, it's it's the most recent kind of step into game commentation I've done is that channel. So
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, then that's the end of this. So thank you guys, everyone. I hope you have a good week. It is Monday when you hear this.
Yes. Also, please refer to me as your resident necromancer.
Okay, resident necromancer.
All right. This has been from your resident necromancer. And what are you? What are you even?
One Controller Report Podcast, episode 18. Goodbye.
Bye.